I am joined by Raul Moronta, Chief Commercial Officer for Remington Hotels, coming to us from one of their properties in Santa Fe, New Mexico. How are you?
Good, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited about these. I followed a lot of your podcasts. I was listening to a few last night. Congratulations, you have a great following and a great casual conversation. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, appreciate it. So you're several months into the gig?
That is the case. Well, it's funny because I people ask me about what how did these come about, and it's funny because I obviously wasn't in the organization in 2019. Obviously, kind of the great years. I wasn't here in 20, obviously, for all the challenges and starting obviously as I think end of December I started. Right in the middle of kind of probably the bottom of the pandemic. Has been quite an interesting exercise, but very, very excited to join the organization. I think that we have a lot of growth and momentum happening now, and again, I couldn't be more excited about being part of Remington.
Well, tell us about your background.
So I went hotel school. I graduated. I'm originally from the Dominican Republic. Graduated from hotel school. Did my master's in University of New Haven in Connecticut, and then moved to Boston. I was there for about 20 odd years, mostly operations. At least my first half of the career, and then I joined. I was always front office and enjoyed the statistical side of it. The no shows and the cancellations and the walk-ins and how to get a perfect sell. And, everybody said, well, I think that you would probably enjoy this yield management, which at the time it was probably kind of part of reservation. So, but joined revenue management, actually part of Starwood, was there for about 15 years, went from single properties to corporate office, worked for several management companies, mostly in revenue management, and then obviously had an opportunity. My last role was with Crescent Hotels, that I was overseeing revenue strategy, and this role came about, and it was something very exciting to be able to come up with a new role that actually aggregated all of the three disciplines. So for me, that was very exciting. That's the reason why I joined.
So what do you think the necessary skill sets are for a successful person in your role?
Well, I think that it helps to have an operational background. I think you need to be able to understand how hotel operation works. I work night audit. And you learn so much from the night audit, last minute, demand. You learn crisis management. You learn all kinds of different traits. I think operations is very, very important. Housekeeping. I learned a lot, from housekeeping about available inventory and rooms out of order and how that affects revenues. But I think it comes down to I'm very passionate about strategy. Being very passionate about how do I improve the performance of a hotel with the same probably skills and technology that my competitor has. Reality is we all compete against each other with just about the same amount of technology. And I think it all comes down to how do I outsmart my competitors? How do I hustle more than my next door neighbor? But I think a lot of that, and then there's a big part of what we do in marketing. Whether it is that you do digital marketing, whether it is that you do PR, has a lot. We're doing a lot of great things on the PR front. Or if you look at, for example, advertising. We do a lot of branding in our roles. We're currently in the process of rebranding 5 hotels from independent to soft brands, from independent to another identity, so from one hard brand to a soft brand. And a lot of us take to understand customer behavior, understand customer How do you reach different audiences? If you go from let's say a Marriott system to a Hilton system, you're going to have a slightly different customer base, and you have to be able to find a way to reach those and to be able to ramp up faster.
So what do you think led up to this role within Remington? What was the decision process?
As usual, you would have different silos in different organizations. I think that it was no different than any other organization. But I think that as we move forward, there's a couple of things that triggered it. I think one, we wanted to have a coordinated approach about our revenue generation. And there's been a big movement in creating this role that actually allows for all the different disciplines to actually report to one unit. But the second part of it is that we, prior to the pandemic, we have been on a path to further develop our third-party management platform. And in order to do that, again, you have to have that third-party experience. I have had obviously a lot of third-party experience with other management companies, and this was very important to be able to have somebody who understood not just revenue generation, but also relation with the owners. And I think one of the things that you find is that we have, let's call it three stakeholders, so three different type of people that we deal with. One is a client, right? And in historical perspective, a client basically doesn't care whether you are a SMERF, an association, a corporate, a group. They want somebody who can help them drive or book a business, right? So we have put those in because we feel that there's some synergies that we can actually have with somebody managing that. The guest, if you're a guest on an OTA, you really don't care whether you're talking to a digital marketing manager or the director of revenue or the director of sales. They need a room, right? And the third part has to do with a client. Our client doesn't care whether we lost share because we book too much OTA or not enough group. They simply want to improve the performance of their hotels. So to have a coordinated approach to that and said, we are going to generate revenues better than any other management company out there, it is what they want to hear. They do not want to hear that the insider baseball that we go through and that we've gone through, in the past 15, 20 years.
Yeah. Break down your org chart for us. What does that look like?
So we have a senior vice president of sales, which actually under that, there's going to be a group of VPs of sales that actually have portfolios. We have divisional vice president of revenue strategy, which again, we divide that by brands because we feel that there's a lot of synergies between different brands, major brands. Again, we have large portion of our portfolio is either Marriott or Hilton, and then we obviously have an independent portfolio that's very, very an excellent portfolio. And then we have digital strategy, and we do a lot of stuff in-house. We do a lot of our ads in-house. We have somebody who has experience in videography. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we actually do in-house. But through that organization, then we also have field associates and things like that help in the revenue generation process.
You're all in the US, right?
That is correct. We are what we call Continental US because we have US, obviously continuous US, and we also have a hotel in Anchorage, Alaska.
Yeah. So we got about 30 seconds, but I mean, any thoughts on what the next few months hold for the U.S.?
We're very excited. I mean, it's an uneven recovery. We're calling it kind of a heartbeat recovery. And the reason for that is because we're seeing occupancy spike on weekends. So we're having kind of a flat line Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. And these heartbeat, it is actually coming up very, very, very fast. We expect that by June, we would exceed weekend occupancy to 2019 levels.
Oh, fantastic.
It's going to take a little bit more time, but we are seeing record occupancies on weekends, especially on leisure-driven markets.
All right. Very exciting, Raul. I want to thank you for joining me, sir.
Thank you so much. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.